stop talking about it. Just that is the biggest thing I can tell young people. Get the experience until you do it. Do you want it or you don't? Don't keep asking me questions. Just go do it and we'll figure it out later.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of 8+1 The Classroom. It's your boy, Charles Nzali. I am honored this evening to have an entrepreneur, a radio host, an educator, a proper hustler. Lyne't, welcome to 8+1 The Classroom.
Thank you so much. I am honored. I am so incredible. This is my first time being interviewed. So normally I'm invited as a co-host on shows. So this is going to be different for me.
That's great. I want you to relax. I want you to have fun.
Absolutely.
Doing this. I want us to have a good time. That way you can provide people with the information and the knowledge that you have. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. But first, when I start my interviews with people, I start by asking them about their upbringing, because I feel like your upbringing always plays a huge part in who you become.
Yes.
The person that you become. What was your upbringing like?
Well, my upbringing was actually very tumultuous, which made me the person I am. Mm-hmm. I am the product of two young people who were high school sweethearts, but they, God rest his soul, my biological father just passed on December 2nd. He didn't want me, but he wanted my sister and his other baby that he was having. So it was a thing of, I tell a lot of people this story so that people won't hold on to the past and they won't mistreat their children because of the things that happened when with the other parent. But it was a thing of, he literally tried to kill me while I was in my mother's womb. So I tell people I've been fighting since a young age. I have an amazing daddy who stepped in. Okay. And that's where you see the compassion and the care and the empathy for people and the heart for people is from my daddy, Lindsay Jr. Porche Jr. I love that man. He passed away in 1998. My whole world shattered, but he taught me to love and to care for people. And that's just what was passed down. And so like I said, my youth was tumultuous. It was somebody was like, you need to write a book. And I was like, actually, I don't, because it would be so depressing to people. But it's a story of triumph. It was one tragedy after another. I know what it's like. And I think that's what you write. That's what shaped me to who I am. Mm-hmm. Because I know what it's like to be, in a body cast and in a wheelchair and on crutches and be called crippled. I know what it's like to be the little kid who had no parents. I tell people, imagine like a 10-year-old with nobody and they're living alone. I know that. I know what it's like. And so I used to just imagine if I had the opportunity to treat people right as an adult, what type of adult would I be? And I always said I would be like my daddy, because my daddy was a beautiful person. He cared and he loved for people. And I will give my mom this. The one thing I will say about my mother is her way of discipline helped me. It hurt me a lot, but it helped me because there were things that even when I moved out of her house, I was afraid to do because I didn't want her finding out about it. Because, okay, I'm gonna give this story, and this is gonna sound really harsh, but I had an older sister, and when my mom and dad divorced when I was 10, my brother went to go live with my dad, big sister went to go live with my grandmother, and my big sister was, kind of wild. She was the wild child, runaway child. And my mother, when I was 13, she was a cop, and she was cleaning her service revolver, and she called me in the living room, and she said, I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I'm gonna ask you something. I said, what? And she asked me if I was a virgin. I told her, I said, yes, ma'am. I'm not doing anything. She said, I'm gonna tell you this one thing. If I ever hear about you having sex under my roof ever in your life, she put that. She closed the revolver, click, click, dry fired it. She said, I'm gonna kill you. And she said, and I'm gonna hide your body and nobody will ever find it. And I'm a cop, I'm gonna get away with it. So needless to say, I was terrified of my mom. And even when, and here's the crazy part, because I told my ex-husband this, we moved back into her house for a little bit because we were buying a new house and we were in between places. And we moved back into her house and he went to go, I said, you. Not under her roof. And my mama was like, are you crazy? I said, no. Not under, no. It was just stuck in my head. And she was like, that's your husband. You know, you get a pass. But I was like, So my upbringing, like I said, it was, and my mother was that intense. She was that intense. But I now realize, I'm at a place where I understand that I realized that she went through a divorce. Before that, you know, she was in a hard relationship with a high school sweetheart. And some people back then, they didn't have the help they needed. They didn't have the therapy. And if they did have therapy, you don't go tell nobody your business. Yeah. So she didn't get the help that she needed. So I can say I understand where she came from, and I can understand how her mind just snapped on her because I've been through a divorce. But that's what made me to where I would always say, oh, when I get older, if I ever get the money to do this, if I ever get this, I'm going to help people. And I learned to hone it over the years, but that's what made me who I am.
That's. It seems like you have a pretty challenging but really beautiful upbringing. Yeah. Me personally, my mom is the disciplinarian.
Absolutely.
Calm, collected, quiet, never really gets rattled.
Yeah, that was my dad.
And my mom is like, you walk and then mistakenly hit your feet on something. Yeah. And my mom is like, right. Like, whoa, like, yeah.
That was, and so, you know, that was multiplied once dad was gone. Yeah. And they had a horrible, their divorce lasted so long that they separated when I was 10. And I think they finally got a divorce when I was like 14, 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they just couldn't stand each other. Yeah. And, you know, they was back and forth. So, yeah, but you're right. My dad was like the angel and always will be. And my mom was, I understand now. I just can say I understand.
I understand that. I really do understand that because I have parents who were like very opposite. But, you know, opposite is good.
That's good.
It brings balance. And you know, it helps with everything. So, me personally, right, I did a little bit of digging. Of course, the only resource I have is Facebook.
Yeah.
And then I went through your Facebook. I went a lot through your Facebook.
So you saw it all. Yeah.
But one thing is consistent throughout the whole your timeline, right? Is your love for entrepreneurship.
Yes, absolutely.
So what inspired that?
Actually, the women in my family, my great grandmother and her mother, my 2 times great grandmother, they were entrepreneurs and they had a catering business and they catered to all of the very wealthy blacks in Kansas City and surrounding areas. They started in Chicago, migrated to Kansas City. And so they were entrepreneurs. So both of these women, before it was legal for women to own houses, they owned rental properties. They had restaurants. So I grew up sitting up under women who were entrepreneurs and literally were sitting in homes that were paid for. Beautiful big homes. And then my daddy who raised me, his mother was an entrepreneur. And so they would just work hard and buy houses for cash and fix them up and live in them. And, you know, she was an evangelist as well. So she would go around and preach for free. You know, she would stand on the bus stop and preach. And so my love for entrepreneurship, once I became a teenager, I had an uncle who, you know, he saw that I was always by myself. And he would come and get me, my Uncle Miller McLaughlin. I love you, Unc. And we call him Uncle Red. But he started coming to get me and taking me to church with him all the time. And the beautiful thing about it was Uncle Red was a hustler. By nature, by trade, he was a commercial roofer. But if you know anything about commercial roofing, wintertime and rain, you can't work.
Yeah.
So how is he going to feed his family? His wife likes nice things, which is my auntie. They had children. She wanted a nice house. She wanted to drive nice cars. So we would be out with Uncle Red, once again, real estate. Mm-hmm. He learned to go buy the houses at the auction, and he would make us bologna sandwiches with chips and Kool-Aid and pop, and we be tearing out and building. So I learned how to do everything on the house from him. And he told me, he said, and they called me, my family called me Nene. He said, Nene, get you a pickup truck. He said, as long as you got a pickup truck, you'll never be broke. You can go pick up people's trash and dump their trash for them. You can go move stuff. You can go to the grocery store and drop people off. And so he truly, because I had my hands in it, sparked the entrepreneur thing. But he made me think about, what if I could make this a bigger business? And I was a young girl sitting there thinking, what if I can make it a bigger business? And the beautiful thing about it, which was so unfortunate at that time, but I got pregnant at 17 with my oldest daughter. And I gave birth to her at 17. And at that point in time, I was going to school and working 3 jobs when I got pregnant with her. You know, once you get a baby, I didn't have that kind of help to go to school and work 3 jobs. Mm-hmm. So my uncle said, I need you to figure out something. He was like, how are you going to make money? He said, you need to be able to build your life and not depend on a man.
Oh, wow.
And I cleaned houses. I did people's hair. You know, I went back to work for McDonald's and Burger King and a clothing store. But while I was there, I was like, I can do your hair at the clothing store. I can do your hair. You know, McDonald's girls come in, I can do your hair. So that sparked the entrepreneur side, wanting me to always control my money. And I will say this, I watched them and they never seemed to work hard. Mm-hmm. You knew they worked. You knew that they had to go do something, but they never were, I'm tired at the end of the day. They always had time. They always had energy. That's what sparked that love for me and that desire to find, you know, the niche in entrepreneurship, how to make it easy for people.
That's interesting. So throughout the years, it seems like you've tested different waters as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. Can you just kind of give us like a little?
My very first entrepreneurship that I did, like I said, when my daughter was a baby, I was doing hair. Mm-hmm. My mother was a couture fashion designer. So like she would design something. She could take this dress and throw a cape on it or something and make it look like super expensive, runway expensive. And she would do weddings for less. And so she could give you a $30,000 wedding with $500. You know, you just had to be willing to, whenever she say, come get this material, because I found it for 35 cents, you have to come get it. Yeah. So I started with redesigning people's closets, their style and their clothes when my daughter was a baby. I would do people's hair. I wasn't that good then. But after that, I went to school for chemistry because I started making my own fragrance oils. Mm-hmm. Like I love the way certain fragrance oils would smell. And I accidentally mixed some stuff I don't know what I was doing. I think I was trying to I don't know what I was doing, but I mixed some little stuff that I had bought for the house. I accidentally missed it and it smelled good. And I was like, I wonder if I could make the knockoff scents. And I was able to do it. So that was the first registered business that I had. Then my second registered business, which was a blessing, it was non-emergency medical transportation. I was the youngest I was the youngest person in the state of Missouri to do it. I was the only solo woman, and I was the only black woman. All three of those simultaneously. And I did non-emergency medical transportation, and a company called MTM got the contract for dispatching from the state of Missouri. And that was back when it was a $70 million contract. That was back when we had Governor Blunt. Not the dad, but the son. I think Matt. And so that was like my big break, because I was literally contracting with the state. And I was what they called a vendor for NEMT. And I learned the process of truly setting up a business. I had to go through classes. They made me, like, we would have these state meetings that they were, I forgot what they called them. It was like, you're required to take them. I forgot the actual name that they called them, but that was my kick in the door to, this is how business is run. This is a real business. So after that, it was nothing to it for me to just, I went to hair school and opened up a salon. I had a little small salon just outside of Brookside. And then I wound up closing that and, just taking chairs in different places. And then trucking. My ex-husband and I were married, and we did trucking. And so it was just like everything. Now I have like umpteen businesses under my belt. I know I have a real estate right now. I think I have real estate, trucking. I have something else. I can't think. Oh, no, I didn't do the truck driving school yet. I'm getting ready to do that. Because I'm trying to transition out of the truck and out of just being everyday going. But that's, I've had my hand in a little bit of everything. Let's say definitely my salon is registered. My NEMT business is registered. My trucking business, I had 2 trucking business. I have a new one now because the old one was a part of the marriage and it was under my Smith name. So I just decided to let it go, not use it anymore. Real estate. I don't know what else I did, but because I once you learn how to, and I will say this, and this is what I tell everyone. Once you learn what do you call that, system to opening a business and creating a business, once you learn the system, you can replicate that system. And I was blessed to, my second business, I learned the system from the state, from the government. And so I tell people that's what made it to where my love for entrepreneurship is the way it is. Because I'm like, oh, this is easy, y'all. This is easy. There's just steps you have to do. And it's headache. It's easy, but it's tedious. So yeah, I've had my hand in a lot. That's why you see me have such a love for entrepreneurship. Yeah.
That's great. Also they will always say, they said if the wealth of the world is distributed evenly to everyone, the 99% of it will still go back to the 1%. Yeah. Simply because they once you know how to do it, it's just a matter of replicating it.
And I tell people, here's the thing. And it's the truth. Once you've made a certain amount of money, it's not hard to make it again. You can lose everything. You can, in my case, walk away from everything and go back and get it because it's not hard. And even if that person who helped you isn't in that office anymore, you know the steps to take to find the people who you need to get in contact with. So that's the thing. The reason why the wealth would reaccumulate back with the wealthy, because the rule number one that the wealthy understand is when you have a business, all that money pours back into it and you pay yourself as if you're an employee according to the salary that the regular employees make. If you were working for someone else, how much would you make? So a lot of people open up businesses and we see, like people are getting the government contracts for the airport. And they're seeing all these millions in their bank account. And they're like, oh, we got 16 million. We got 18 million. We got this million. No. That's not for you to live on. You need to go back. You need to stay in your lane with that money that you were making before the government threw all that money at you. So now, yes, you're focusing on them government contracts, but you still getting cleaning up all these contracts over here that were keeping you sustained before the federal government said, we need you. And you take that federal government money and you circulate it back into your company and you figure out how to keep your numbers and your costs down. You don't go hiring a bunch of people that you don't need. You do a lot of the work, and then there's a certain way that you go looking for the people that you need that can do several jobs in one.
Yes.
And you just pour all that money back into your company and rebuild. And a lot of people talk about people like Walmart and Montgomery Ward, but that was their secret.
Yeah.
That was their secret. I see a lot of people now getting into business, and I've helped a lot of people get into business. And I have a consulting company where people will call me because I have a video up on my Facebook page that a lot of people see. And they'll call me and say, hey, but I need to know this. Do you know? Oh, yeah, I know this. I can figure it out. I got people I can call. And I have one man who I literally had to tell him, dude, so you done went out and bought a Benz? He making his money, got his contract. Yes, you can write the Benz off, but we're not in Florida. You can't rent that car out and make it make money for you. You should have went and bought a pickup truck if you were going to do anything. But that's the thing that's the reason why the 1% will always have the money, because they look for ways to make every investment a write-off. That's the reason why Amazon didn't pay any taxes. Because Amazon, one of the secrets to Amazon, a lot of people don't know, Amazon's not going to pay any taxes because Amazon gives green cards to come work for them. So they're going to pull the people from out the country, and all of that is a write-off.
I mean, I never owned a business, but I've been put in a position to manage a restaurant. And I've been trained extensively by this restaurant, right?
Yeah.
The first thing they tell you is your biggest expense will always be your staffing budget. It's your biggest expense. So when people are starting up businesses, especially Black people, they want to bring everybody along.
And that's,
And put everybody on payroll. And most of the time, the people that they put in on payroll, the business don't really need them. But this is a family member that I'm trying to help. So it always backfire at some point. Because it's an expense that you're really incurring.
Okay. One of the things I want to say is you are a business owner. See, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is when you work for a major corporation and that major corporation trusts you to run their business, you're literally doing what they're doing on a large scale.
Yes.
You're doing what they started out doing when they only had one.
Yeah.
So you're a business owner. It's just not in your name.
Yep, that's true.
You're a business owner. It's just not in your name. So if someone was to come to you and say, and this is how I put it to help people recognize, if someone was to come to you and say, I'm going to give you unlimited money to run what you do today, to open this up as a business, and any money that you have left over is yours to keep. I'm going to give you a certain amount of X to open up a restaurant and do what you do now. And it's your restaurant. But anything you have left over is yours to spend. You are going to know exactly what you need to do to maximize your dollar.
Yeah.
You're a business owner. You just literally are running someone else's business.
That's true.
And so when people start looking at it like that, when you start looking at it as, I always tell people, I stick with what I know. And what I know is trucking. I know entrepreneurship. I know hair. I know kids. I look at the things that I do on a daily basis. I know how to reconcile bank statements because that's been my thing since I was a kid. Paying bills, accounts payable and receivable. When you put it all together, you start to think as an entrepreneur. You have gifts. So many of the people, especially us Black folks, will say, oh, I got this money. I got this business. Let me go hire my cousin. Well, what has your cousin been doing? But sitting on the couch watching Maury all day. What are their actual gifts? Leave your cousin over there. And you just might, because I found that a lot of the businesses that I consult with, family don't respect your business the way they respect someone's job. So you might have to leave family over there while you run your business the right way. But remember that your employees make your money. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't respect that either. They see the money coming in. And I will say there is a disconnect between the old bosses and the new. Mm-hmm. The old company owners. The old company owners knew, I got to keep these folks happy because these folks keep my pocket fat. Mm-hmm. So I got to keep them happy because they keep my wallet fat. The newer owners are like, oh, people don't want to work no more. Well, no. You are asking somebody to drive a truck for $14 an hour. Of course, they're not going to work when you add up all the numbers. So with entrepreneurship, it is a mindset, but they've turned it into a get money mindset instead of a longevity mindset. Because a true entrepreneur says, I want my company to still be running 500 years from now. Mm-hmm. That's what a true entrepreneur does. And then they look at the end of the thing exactly how they want it to look when they're no longer around. Mm-hmm. And then they set up the beginning to match that end. That's what entrepreneurship is. And so that's what stops the people from hiring family members and mistreating employees and overworking people and not having a heart and letting people off when they need to be off. You have somebody that you can call in and say, hey, come cover this for them. Yeah.
No. So is that why in reference to you saying that if you look at some of the biggest companies in the world, right? Mm-hmm. The model has been set up many years ago. Mm-hmm. Is that why you have, even after the founders have gone, mm-hmm. the model is still the same, even if there's a tweak in it here and there, right? Mm-hmm. But the core principles are always...
It's a system. They look at and this is what I taught my children. And this is something that I developed. Like, I don't even know. I'm just give praise to God because I was a young girl. And I remember sitting on my bed thinking, so when I die, what do I want my life to say? What do I want to have saved that I've done?
Legacy.
And I was a young girl, hadn't even thought about relationships or none of that. And I laid in my bed and I was like, what is it that you want to do? And I was led to think to the end of the thing. I cried and cried and cried because, a little kid, you don't want to think about you being dead. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be like 100 years old. And at 100 years old, what do you want to do? And it only came down to me being a parent and helping people. And so I began to build and establish my life in that manner. And so that's what happens with these corporations that a lot of people don't realize. They create a system for success. They don't deviate from that system. If you notice, McDonald's is a system. Mm-hmm. It's a system of buying real estate and preparing burgers a certain way, but it's really a system of buying real estate. Mm-hmm. Walmart is a system. They switched it up and had us all discombobulated. We was like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be over here. And it's because somebody came in and switched up the system. But when they came in and switched up the system, they left it the way it was when they switched it. They haven't switched it again. We've all become accustomed to it now because it's a system. When you see a Walmart, there's a Lowe's somewhere because of the system of Lowe's. Lowe's said, we want the Walmart traffic because Walmart doesn't sell what we sell. Mm-hmm. When you see, and this is one a lot of people don't know because I've driven for CVS. And now everybody who watches this is every time they're going to look for it. Whenever you see a CVS, there's a Walgreens within a mile. Mm-hmm. Sometimes directly across the street. Why? Because there's a system that Walgreens created to compete with CVS. And I used to drive for CVS. I drove the semis for them and we back in. And whenever we were lost and we couldn't find a CVS, you say, where's the Walgreens? Okay, so there's CVS somewhere. You knew it wasn't going to be further than a mile. So the systems create success. And the systems are what literally takes you and you can replicate it for the next 50 to 100 years. And you may have to tweak your technology. The people who don't tweak their technology, those are the people who go out. You can keep the same thing. Like Walmart has not changed. They just tweaked their technology. They went online. Now you can deliver, you can get deliveries. They started competing with Amazon, and they took Amazon's idea and said, oh, they pulling from all over the world. Now you can buy a VVS 1 diamond on Walmart. Where are they getting diamonds like that from? Because they allow other people to sell. You can buy OEM car parts on Walmart.com because they allow the manufacturer to sell. So they just tweaked the system. You have to be able to tweak the system, but keep everything the same.
So what do you tell? Let's say I am an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say I owned, let's say a car wash, right? Mm-hmm. What do I do to create an environment where the principles of the business is still kept intact while I am evolving? What are some of the things that I need to look out for?
Open door policy, mission statement, and employee manual. Those are your 3 most important things when you want to keep your business true to your vision. The reason being, the open door policy, let's say your car wash isn't doing good, but you have young employees and they like, hey boss, you doing this advertising like this, but I'm trying to tell you, all you need to do is do this, this, and this. Well, if they're stopped at the supervisor who doesn't want anybody taking his job, so he says, tell it to me, and then he still doesn't take it to you, your business is going to suffer. But if they can, or send an email, boss, I have this idea and I think it might work and it's not going to cost you any money, but it's just a way to bring in extra money. This idea, are you willing? And you say, okay, we'll give it 30 days or we'll give it 90 days, as long as it doesn't cost me any money. And as long as it's not going to, y'all not getting overtime and stuff out of it. That open door policy is crucial. Because the owner, and I've been blessed to sit down with Barnett Hellsberg because my daughter was a scholar at the school that he and Robert Block Tom Block put together, University Academy. And one of the things about me being an early parent is you always had access to the Hellsbergs and the Blocks. Mr. Block taught my daughter's 7th grade class, and Barnett Hellsberg was always there for something. And one day I was telling him about my experience at Hellsberg, and he said, you were supposed to write me a letter. I said, huh? He said, up at the top, I don't know what they're doing in the store. And if you feel like that woman discriminated against you, you should have written me a letter. And so that right there, it woke me up. I learned so much from this man, from just listening to him talk. You know, we wasn't even talking business. We just sitting in the school for an event and some kind of ceremony or something. And he just sit down and start talking because my daughter was she was one of their top students and she was recognizable. So he would sit down and talk to me. And I learned so much from him. But the one thing I learned is that the owner doesn't know what's going down at the bottom. So oftentimes, what do they call that, undercover boss? Yeah. Where they would send the owners in so they could see what their business was like. And then they were like, oh, wait a minute. Now we see where stuff is going wrong because they had to be at the bottom. Number 2 is your mission statement. Your mission statement is for the duration of your business. So when you create your mission statement, what do you want the end of this thing to look like? You have to make sure your company stays within that mission statement. But your mission statement has to be able to be systematically implemented. The next thing is the employee manual. So many companies overlook the employee manual, but a lot of companies want to be these multi-million-dollar conglomerates. They didn't get there without an employee manual. Because how are you going to tell someone, well, I'm letting you go because you're not doing, and they're like, you didn't tell me. Y'all coming in here, y'all switching up rules every other day. You know, a lot of people don't understand the importance of those things. So when you get the employee manual and it's this thick, flip to page 12. Oh, another thing is training. You know, so many companies, a lot of companies will train. And I'm a truck driver. And I've had people say, oh, you've been driving for this many years? Here's my keys. No. And that's why your business can't grow to millions, because we out here winging it. You get what I'm saying? We're out here doing it our way instead of doing it your way. Yeah. And so that's what those, the training, the employee manual, mission statement, write that. If I can tell you anything, write that mission statement, because it's going to keep you accountable. And when you walk away, when you pull a Jeff Bezos or the other man, the Tesla man, and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
They still have to do things the way you do them.
What you're saying makes a lot of sense. If you look at Walmart, right? Mm-hmm. They have something in the lines of the Walmart way.
Mm-hmm. The system.
Yes. If you look at, let's say, Nike has a
system.
line called the Nike way. Mm-hmm. When I worked for them during the training, they will tell you exactly the Nike way of talking to customers, how to answer calls, what to respond when a customer said this.
Yes.
You're pretty much trained to become a robot to say, bing, bing, customer says this, bing, bing. You know exactly what the response should
Script.
be. You're scripted.
Yes.
Everything you're saying is scripted. When you deviate towards that, you see an email. When they audit your calls, you see an email saying, bing, 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 you did respond to this way. But this is it. They give you models that will teach you this. Every month you have to take a model. You have to do all this stuff to make sure you're refreshed on what the Nike way is, what the business module is, customer service way. All of these things are there. It's a system that is set up, but most of the people and most of our people, our business model is more of a trial and error basis. We tried this, it didn't work. Let's try that. That didn't work. Let's try that. That didn't work. What it does is it does not provide you the opportunity to weather the storm.
Absolutely.
To weather the storm. So the good thing about weathering the storm as far as business is concerned, it allows you to fail and try again and fail and try again. Eventually you would find it. Eventually you will find exactly what it is that you need to tweak.
Yes.
And that is how these multi-million-dollar corporations, this is how their system is built. But most of us, we don't have that patience.
Well, here's the thing about the patience. Majority of the time when we open a business, we're in dire straits. We're forced, we use our hustle and turn our hustle into a business. So we've never sat down and turned it into a system. We've never created a script. And this is what I tell people. Don't reinvent the wheel. I always tell my consulting clients, my employee manual for my NEMT business called LC Smith Transport, LLC. It was Associated Wholesale Grocers employee manual. My ex-husband my then husband was a truck driver for them. And they told me, you need an employee manual and you need to cover this, this, and this. And I was like, I told him, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna word this. I'm not a lawyer. This was before LegalZoom. This was 2002. I was getting everything together in 2002. I had, AOL online. You dial up, but you couldn't pull up employee manuals like that. And all the ones I could pull up, the writing was so small. And one day he came in and he threw it at me and he said, there you go. Just switch out the name. And I was like, what? And this thing was thick. So I sat down and I literally retyped their entire employee manual, word for word, and just inserted LC Smith Transport in it because we both were trucking companies. Simple, easy. And you make your employees follow that. You get what I'm saying? I was an NEMT business, but I wanted to expand into trucking. So everything about transportation, it was there. How you supposed to dress? How you supposed to look? They are a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yep.
They had already laid it out.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we take our hustle and we turn it into a business, but we do not, and I'm dropping some gems, so y'all need to be writing with a pen, but we do not think about the end of the thing. Like I have a friend and he had just came to Kansas City and he was cooking for a living. That's what he was doing. So he came to Kansas City and he started selling plates. He's like, I need money. Won't nobody hire me. I know how to cook. I'm going to feed some folks. And he would he'd get on Facebook and do his kitchen and show everybody how clean his kitchen was every day. And he would get to cooking. And this man was he still is making a lot of money when he decides to do it. But he was making so much money. And I would call him and say, I would send him a message. This is what you needed. Because I was watching him from long distance. And I admired his hustle. I admired the fact that he got up every single morning. He showed us his kitchen. He made sure the food was out. He would tell people, hey, such and such, I'm preparing your meal. This is your meal you see me making right now. I'm on my way to you. And I'm like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Do this, that, and the other. And I was sending him tips for free, stuff that I normally consult. And, you know, he became like a biggest supporter during one of my hardest times. Him and his wife was like, hey, if she can get on here, you know, I got this job for her. It's $17 an hour. And the me before my hard time would have been like 17, she tripping. But the me during that hard time was like, I'm doing it. But come to find out, I had gotten in so much of a situation that I couldn't take the job. But she was appreciative because I was telling him how to make his business roll and how to get it done. And it could, if he had wanted to expand it, it could have expanded into something bigger. Because I even found him the kitchen in Kansas City, where if you cook, if you make meals, if you want to do it in a professional setting and you make it all up front, and you can just stuff your what do you call it, food truck. Go in there, use their kitchen, cook up everything, clean up everything, fill up your food truck, prep everything, all of that. So, but what it is we get in dire straits and we have not made the plan because oftentimes we're too tired from our long hours. And so that's what happens with us. That's the reason why we don't have that vision. But that's why I tell everyone, look ahead. Jump all the way to 100 years from now. What do you want it to do? A lot of our businesses close because we don't do like the other people. We don't raise our kids up in our business. We don't start them in the business until they 13, 14 years old. Well, by that time, they don't want to do it. They want to do their own thing. Our kids don't see the profit in it. Whereas you see the Walmart kids, you know, they went to school for several different things, but they know how to run that business. The construction kids, they might have gone to school for several different things, but they know how to run that business. And now because they're educated and they apply the education to the practical knowledge of running the business, now they know how to find the government breaks. And they know how to do this, and they know how to do things to make the business flourish beyond what the parents thought. And so that's the reason why our businesses don't go, because we're like, oh, I need money, so I'm going to do this. And also we work them when we're hustling. We work it like it's a job. We don't give a cutoff to where we can plan. You have to put a cutoff on there and say, hey, this time is devoted to me developing this business, and this time is for family. When you create that balance, your business can flow and move forward. So that's the reason why our stuff doesn't go. You know, it's more like a trial and error. But when we stop the trial and error thing, when we say, okay, I know I'm hustling because I need this money, because I need this business to go, but okay, cut this off at this time. And then I'm devoting these 2 hours every day to researching what my business is and what it can do, and the tax breaks and this, that, and the other. And then the rest of the time is for family. You're able to grow the business the way you want it.
So let's say, right? I don't know if this question is fair to you, because you're a business consultant. But I'll just go ahead and throw it out. If you don't feel comfortable, let's say I am Charles Nzali LLC, right? Start a business, right? What is your rule number 1 of 1? What is the first thing I need to?
First thing you need to do is decide what you want your business to do. Because you know what business you want to create. That you do know. You know, we're just going to use my beauty salon. When I opened up a beauty salon, I knew I wanted to do beauty salon at a certain level. Okay. Yes, I want to do a beauty salon, but what do I want to do in it? Let's get to narrowing it down. What's going to be my niche? Well, my niche was growing Black women hair that they sit on. So, okay, but you're going to have people who are going to come in and they're not going to want to walk around with their hair. So let's start questioning. Let's start asking questions. Let's start, what if you have a black woman who comes in who works a corporate job and she wants this hair down to her waist, but right now her hair is broken. So what are you going to do to make sure that she's always professional at that job? Okay, well, now I got to start looking into adding extensions. What type of extensions what's going to be your price point? It's literally days of thinking. And I tell people, become paranoid about failure. Because when you become paranoid about failing, you dot all your I's and cross your T's. You say, oh man, but what? Because one of my things was, what if I buy all these hair extensions and then somebody break in my salon and steal it? Insure the hair extensions. I got to find somebody who will insure them. What do I specifically need to do to make sure my hair extensions are insured, and the insurance company will pay me if somebody comes into my salon and steals them, or if somebody plans an appointment and comes in and tries to take them off of me because they know I have them. You answer all of your what ifs. So that's your very first thing. You before you even open the business, you want to answer your what ifs. You want to answer that. Once you can answer your what ifs, then you go forward with the process, because now everything's laid out for you. Everything's laid out for you. I always tell people, don't spend a whole lot of time researching, because when you spend a whole lot of time researching, you can't jump. You paralyze yourself. But you want to answer all your what ifs. You want to, I would tell people, if you want to open a business, doing trucking, call me. They'd be so afraid to call me. You want to do hair, call me. They'd be so afraid to call me. You want to do real estate, give me a call. They're afraid to call. And I'm like, I told you to call me. If I say call me, give me a call. I'm willing to talk to you. If you say, can I have your number so I can call you all the time? I would be leery of calling someone who I had to ask them for their card. And they here's my card, and it didn't come with a call me if you have questions. I still sit there I'm just going to go ahead and send the email, see what they say. But majority of the time, I get a card that says, call me if you have questions. And guess what? Thank you, for our conversation, this, that, and the other. You told me to call you if I have questions. I'm going to put my face and my name in their mind, because I'm going to send them a follow-up email. And so if you have any questions about what your niche for your business is, ask the experts, the people who've done it. There is not a single business. Well, no. There could be a business out here that no one's done. Could possibly be one. But majority of these businesses, someone has done it. And they've done it on such a level that, you're really not a threat to them if you start. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. They've done it on such a level that you're not a threat if you're just now starting out. Trust me. They'll tell you anything you want to know.
I mean, if Kanye West can go and have an internship and come out and sell us clothes with holes,
clothes that look like grandpa's shoes for $840,
and it tells you the power of reaching out to the people. This is Kanye West we are talking about. He could have used his connections to pull so many different strings. However, he took it upon himself to go have an internship. That tells you there's no problem. It's not wrong reaching out to the person that knew more than you do.
And one thing I always tell every business owner, Kanye West knew nothing about fashion. The only thing Kanye West knew about fashion was being fashionable. So if you want to learn about fashion, where do you go?
To the fashion people.
To the fashion houses. But Kanye West, we have to remember that he did one of the models that I believe in doing. Go work for who you want to do what they do. I always say, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Now, they just reinvented the wheel, and I'm about to set them tires when they get it. I don't know if y'all seen those new tires, but it's still a wheel.
Yeah.
But they just have done it a different way now, to where it's going to be even harder to bust your tire and things of that nature. But it's still a wheel.
Yeah.
You know, so what Kanye West did was he said, I'm not going to beat them because I can't beat them from where I'm at. I'm going to go join them. You always got to have your Kanye. And I always tell people, what is your Kanye? That's your confidence. You can't tell Ye nothing. His confidence is on Kanye.
Yeah.
And that's always been my saying. Your confidence has to be on Kanye. You have to be able to walk in and they like, we can't let them get out of here. We need them. Go ahead and hire them, even with no experience. When you know what you're doing, but there's certain niches that you need to find, it's okay to go ahead and go work for a company and tell yourself in your head, well, I'm going to be working for them just for a little bit till I get this perfected. But in the meantime, I'm going to be writing out everything I need for my business. A lot of people say, oh, you need a business plan when you do a business. You need an exit strategy. You need to answer all of your questions. You don't need to know who your competition is per se. You just need to know the price points that you want to do. And if those price points match your city. But your business plan shouldn't be this big old humongous where you take it to the bank and they like, well, I'll get back with you when I'm done reading this. They should be able to flip max 4 pages. And they know everything about your business, everything you want to do. He said, I want to do fashion on a fashion house level. I don't want to do fashion on, Nike don't have a fashion house in Paris. You get what I'm saying? When Rihanna got a fashion house, that was unheard of because they don't give black people fashion houses. But what did she have to do to get it? She had to be a model for some of the biggest names. And then they said, okay, you ready? Because she learned the business from the inside. So what he did, what he taught people by interning, so he wasn't even getting paid. He said, my dream is more important than any money. And that's where it's at. And they pay interns all the time to do things. You get what I'm saying? What I mean by pay is, to me, getting paid as an intern is that experience. Because you have, and this is a story I tell everybody, and it's so funny because I'm technically a college dropout because I had a family and kept having to drop out of college. But when I had gotten a job doing accounts payable and accounts receivable, and I was 18 years old, and because I had done a bunch of temporary agency work, so they were always putting me with math because I was a math genius. And so I wound up getting a job at a furniture store. And the lady's name, the head of HR, her name was Carol. And I came in, and my middle name is Carol. Y'all keep that a secret. I got in there, and I had, I was trying to go back and finish high school, but I was 19 and a mother, had a new car to pay for. So I got in there. This woman had recently gotten married. And this was in the, I want to say 94, 95. They wanted to work on a child. And so she bought me in, and I'm making a little bit above minimum wage. She bought me in. She's training me to do everything she does because she's going to bring me in when she's supposed to be at work. I answer the phone as Carol. She's at home getting paid. See, things like that happen. And what happened was when she did that, she boosted me up into HR knowledge because I had to handle things. I tell a lot of people there was an experience that I had with her. And it was kind of frustrating that it happened because she said, I want you, whenever you get an ethnic name on an application, to put it in file 13. Well, file 13 means the trash. When I saw ethnic name, you telling a young black girl whose name is Lyne't with an apostrophe T, but everybody thinks my name is exotic because it's Creole, but it looks like French. So I can get away with that. But no, she didn't want no uhs and eeks and stuff like that. So her being away and me just honing my skills on interviewing and everything that she taught me to do her job so well that I could have taken her job, but I didn't have the degree to do it. So I began being Carol and hiring every Eek, Dre, A, and I filled the company in the warehouse and things of that nature and different offices with all of these ethnic name people, but they were highly educated and they were highly qualified for the job. And when the temporary agency said, "Oh, well, your contract is up, we're pulling you off," and then they called me up and said, "Hey, Lyne, Carol got some kind of award for boosting the company up. You wasn't even there, but the knowledge I gained,
yes,
at barely, and that was an insult to me because." In 1994 or 95, I was making $17 an hour with the government, uneducated, without a GED, uneducated. But then I went into and I almost walked away from that job because of the pay. Oh, you got me messed up, and I got this brand new car. I'm young with a spanking new car, and I'm like, I got this brand new car. I got my daughter. I got to do this. No, I don't want. And I kept hearing, take that job, Lyne. That job at 19. Or 18, and I turned 19 at the job. It's still benefiting me. That little bit of money is still benefiting me today at 46 because of what I learned.
Yep.
So I tell people, don't look at what they're paying you. Look at do like Kanye. What can I take from that? I'm going over here to learn from them. I hit the young people with this all the time. I'm at a fast food restaurant or something. I'm like, so where do you plan on going in this company? They get on my nerves. This, any other, blah, blah. I'm like, you work for McDonald's, right? Yeah. Google how much McDonald's makes right here on the front. Matter of fact, you ain't got to do it. Watch this. Look how much money they make. So you think it's only y'all in these stores? There's IT, there's corporate. Why are you just mad at the front line? You stay here and you work your way up through the company, and they're going to hire you from within. Mm-hmm. Or you stay here, you save all your money while you live at your mama's house and buy you a franchise.
Yeah, if anything, learn how to run a business from them.
Learn how to run the business.
All the entrepreneurial mistakes
on somebody else's dime.
Somebody else's expense.
Yes.
Because then when you get out of there and you do start your own, the beautiful thing is you have learned how to run a business. You've seen the do's and the don'ts. You've seen things that you might not want to take with you as an entrepreneur. Absolutely. When you do leave. So the things that you see work, you take those with you.
And the thing a lot of people don't understand is, and I say this all the time, McDonald's system did not belong to Ray Kroc. Mm-mm. It belonged to the McDonald's brothers. Yeah. He bought the system. Yeah. And he perfected the system. Mm-hmm. So when you work for McDonald's, you can do the same thing they did. Yeah. You're not using their products but you learn their way of doing a system. The beautiful thing about my first job was my very first job. I worked for Young Fashions. They call it Brother Man's on 31st and Truce now. 31st and Prospect. Linwood Shopping Center, but I worked for him when he was called Young Fashions. And I saw how they would open up the magazine and do their buying. And I was like, oh. So I looked at the front of the magazine and I saw where they would buy our clothes from. And it was from somewhere in California. You learn the system. And when you learn the system, you literally can do your own. I could have opened a clothing store way back then. Because he had me, I had to learn how to run the register. I had to learn how to open. I had to learn how to stop. I had to learn how to tag. You had to learn all of that. You had to learn when to put stuff on sale. There's a lot of people who are stuck because they see it as a job instead of training for their own.
Yeah. Ray Kroc took the McDonald's brothers a module and ran away with it. Mm-hmm. Nike took a company's rubber called Blue Robin.
Wow.
Blue Robin was started by a guy named Bill Bowman.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Bill Bowman started Blue Robin which is what Nike took. Phil Knight took that, and they made their first shoe was the waffles, waffle runners.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
That is somebody else's idea. We're talking about multi-million-dollar corporations who started by taking somebody else's playbook and flipping it into something that's really
Their own.
You know that.
And I didn't know that. And I've always for years suggested that people go work for the business that they want to start and then use their, as you heard me say, employee manual, their system to create what you want, but just tweak it to you. And I had no clue about all of this.
Yes.
But I knew inside of me that was the way to success.
Yes. The car wash guy, right? Now that he has gone and worked for somewhere else and learned the business, understand the ins and out of the business, where does registering the business come into play here?
Where does what?
Registering the business.
Okay. Here's the thing. You can register your business whenever you want. You can register your business and whenever you want, because here in the state of Missouri, it's only $50 to do it online. I always advise first-time business owners, like I've done businesses so many times, I'll just do mine online. But first-time business owners, you want that certificate with the gold seal.
Yeah.
You know, it feels good. So you register yours and send it in and let them mail you your certificate. So you can put it in a really nice frame and you can feel accomplished. You get what I'm saying? To me at this point, I'm just like, just get the business registered. You know, I can print the frame off, you know, print the thing off, but it's not the same as looking at your LLC with the gold seal on it and all the gold, you know, matting and stuff of that nature. So you can, let's put it like this. When you're actually thinking of your business, you can go ahead and register it just to make sure your name isn't taken.
Isn't taken, yes.
You can go ahead and register your LLC to make sure the name, but research it before you pay your money. Because if you pay your money and that name is taken, you don't get that money back. So you want to research and go through the database for your state and make sure your name isn't taken. But you can form your LLC and just have it. Like I literally, my real estate LLC was just sitting and it's still sitting. I haven't done anything with it except for do little minor moves, you know, but nothing major, but it's just sitting because I wanted the name. I didn't want anybody to take the name. I wanted the name and the name is mine. So, you know, if somebody else is to try to register it with the state of Missouri, they're going to tell them, well, that name is taken. You can't have that. So, you know, you can do that up front. If you have a name, if you have a unique name that you don't want anybody taking, go ahead and get your name. That's where it comes into play though, is when the idea hits your head, you know, research, please. They have a database for your state. When you go to register your business, look through that database and make sure that name isn't taken because you don't want those problems. You know, and plus once you pay your fee, you don't get it back. They'll tell you should have checked.
So is the database a .gov database? Or
it's a .gov. It should always be a .gov. Always your state or your secretary. I don't know if all states register through the Secretary of State offices, but if you're in New York, however way the state of New York registers businesses, you look on that website and you go through who they said to check the name. I personally, when it comes to business registration, I don't do anything that's outside of the government. I know there are third-party websites that'll do it for you. I just choose to go. I'm one of those go straight to the point, go straight to the source type people.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So, we've pretty much covered. We covered a lot. What advice do you have for young entrepreneurs? Pretty much you've said pretty much everything that they need to hear. Is there anything that you wish?
Do it. Just Nike. Just do it. Stop talking about it. Just do it. That is the biggest thing I can tell young people. You don't get the experience until you do it. One of the things a lot of entrepreneurs lack is reading.
Reading.
And if they do read, they'll read something that does not pertain to their business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I'm going to give y'all one book that I think every entrepreneur, no matter what you do, should read. It's a book called Selling to the Government. And it's sitting, I see it's a blue book, and it's a blue outer shell, the paper, but it's a hardback, but the paper cover is blue, and it's Selling to the Government's written in silver. And I cannot recall his name, but I've read this book a million times. And the reason why I tell every single entrepreneur to read this book, it's a mandatory for every single one, is because when you learn how to sell to the government, you can sell to anybody. Stay in your lane. You're a civil engineer. You build houses. You know all about building maintenance. You know commercial farming, because he literally is a commercial farmer. And he's been doing gold since he was 14. He ran away from home and went because he needed to get money. Scared his parents half to death because he in the gold mines working, and they thinking they baby gone and dead, and they don't know what happened to him. I said, I would have been so torn on whooping your butt and hugging you, because if I whoop you, you'd have ran away again.
Right. There's a book called The Seed of the Soul.
Mm-hmm.
By,
yes,
by
good book.
Gary Zucker.
Yes.
The first time I picked up the book, I was not ready for the information in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I put it down, and I picked up another book. By the time I went back, I just read it recently during the pandemic, to be precise, and I was able to digest the book. I was able to understand the wisdom that's in the book.
Yes.
You will learn stuff in those books that will blow your mind, you know.